Why are absolute value inequality graphs V-shaped and symmetrical? Imagine you are standing in front of a mirror. Whatever you see on one side is exactly the same as the other. Now, think about how this relates to graphs of absolute value inequalities. When you look at these graphs, you notice they form a V shape and are the same on both sides. This is because of how the absolute value function works. The absolute value of a number tells us how for that number is from 0 on the number line. It doesn't matter if the number is positive or negative. The distance is always positive or 0. When you graph the basic absolute value function, written as y equals the absolute value of x, it creates two straight lines that meet at a point called the vertex. This vertex is at the origin, which is 0 on the number line. The lines go up equally on both sides, making a V shape. The reason for this symmetry is that distance from 0 is the same whether you go left or right along the number line. So, the graph looks the same on both sides of the vertical y-axis. Now, when you work with absolute value inequalities like y less than or equal to a certain number or greater than a certain number, the shape of the graph stays the same. These inequalities tell us which points are within a certain distance from 0 or outside that distance. For example, if you have an inequality like the absolute value of x is less than 5, the graph shows all points that are less than 5 units away from 0. This creates a V shape with the space inside the V shaded. Similarly, if the inequality says the absolute value of x is greater than 5, the graph still has the V shape, but now the shaded area is outside. The shape remains the same because the absolute value function always measures distance from 0, which is why the graph is symmetrical and V-shaped. The linear parts of the graph increase at the same rate on both sides, which keeps the shape balanced. So, to sum it up, the V shape comes from how the absolute value function measures distance from 0, always giving a positive value. The symmetry happens because distance is the same whether you move left or right from 0. When you see these graphs, you can recognize the shape as a V because of how the absolute value function behaves, making it easier to understand and solve inequalities involving absolute values.